the City Friends Daily Show with Arianna
and Eva.
and Eva.
Arianna.
That's good. Okay, so we are starting the second week of the COP30. A lot has been happening around here. We had a lot of means of implementation that you watched already, but we also did something very interesting on energy transition.
It was a very energetic day, no pun intended, looking at the capacities needed to build the energy transition. And we had a lot of chats with a handful of CV friends, didn't we?
A lot. But first, let's talk about a little bit of art.
Mm-hmm.
So at the Capacity Building Hub, we have a photo exhibition. I think it's the fourth year in a row that UNU-EHS has been hosting this amazing exhibition. And we were able to talk to someone who tells us a little bit about what this exhibition is, a little bit of how it's inspiring change makers, urban change makers, and the people that are here watching. So let's roll the clip. Okay, Rogier, could you tell us a little bit more about the exhibition? I know that the exhibition has several urban change makers from Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico. So what those photos tell us about the future of climate action?
Well, I think it tells us very clearly and with very beautiful images that the future of climate action can change the daily lives of people. I mean, that can make changes in cities. It creates greener cities, it creates cleaner air, it creates safer streets. But it also shows a lot of positive energy that climate action can unlock. So you see unusual coalitions of people working together in real change in cities, in streets, in gardens. So I think it's beautiful, and the pictures itself are very colorful, are very pure, and that in itself shows that showing change is enormous opportunity to influence and also energize and inspire others.
Yeah, thank you. And one fun question for this capacity building and friends show is, if you would wish everyone in the world have a capacity building superpower, what would it be?
To change one other person to do the good thing.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
All right.
And thank you.
All right.
That was really inspiring. So the future of climate action is the people, basically. So I don't know. Let's maybe just start all the way to energy transition.
Let's go back to energy. So much happened. But maybe to guide us through this conversation with our CV friends, we're going to be using the 4Cs model, which is something that came out a lot on that day. 4Cs model, the first C looks at connectivity, because naturally when it comes to the energy transition, it's a whole stakeholder approach and everyone in society needs to be involved. So we had a chat with our dear friend Sefor from the academic perspective, but also with Arianna from a policy perspective. Should we hear a bit from them?
Very interesting. Please.
So what can you tell us, Arianna, about key capacity task needs, or what do you think the future is towards building capacities of the energy transition?
On the energy transition, as much as for the ecological transition, you really need to get all the actors together. It's not only a question of policy design, it's bottom up and it is top down. And I think to implement at scale, you really need to understand what are the rules, and that's the role of policy, that are going to allow for private operators to actually create a business case for what happens. And this is where we really see synergies. On the other hand, you really need to get citizens and people understand what the benefits are for themselves. And I think that one of the issues today is that we do not, in general, the climate community doesn't really communicate. It's a question of misinformation. What is in there for? How can I take advantage of the lower prices, for instance, energy prices produced by renewables? And I think this is very important, that capacity building is not institutionalized, but integrated very much in the work that you are moving and bringing forward as UNFCCC as well.
Now for more of a fun question, we're talking about capacity building. If you had a capacity building superpower, which one would it be?
Green skills for jobs. because China's got, I think, 40,000 PhDs in STEM every year. The numbers are almost twice as much as in the US or Europe. And if we do not have technicians, if we do not have people able to operate, we won't neither produce nor manufacture nor install.
So, in the spirit of collaboration, what the capacity building pact is about, what would you say are the most important forms of collaboration to accelerate the global energy transition? What would be exactly in this process?
First of all, let's talk about the overall collaboration. Collaboration must be among people. I said bring engineers, policymakers, and academics. Because it is not just one event, we have to carry on long term. So collaboration is a vehicle to make things happen. I'm an academic professor, so my focus is how do I tell my students that what is the opportunity to collaborate? We bring in ideas in front of them about China, Germany, Spain, US, what's happening. And we are academics, we have no interest to make money or lose money. This is for my benefit. So we can be very neutral, give ideas. That's why I said the idea of the academy. You need a platform, right, to have the discussion. That hopefully that will be the future going forward.
Fantastic. Now a bit of more fun questions.
Okay.
Let's say to lighten things up. We spoke about the academy, and naturally, when you think of academies, capacity building is a part of that. So, if you could have one capacity building superpower, which one would it be?
It would be people from many countries standing together to do something for the globe, primarily reducing CO2 emissions to minimize the global warming challenge.
It was really, really interesting to listen from them. That we have the academic perspective, we have like more the policy perspective, and that's really interesting. So for the second C, we go to content. And in content, we have Arianna, who works at the Climate Technology Center and Network, CTCN. It's very good friends here at the NY section at UNFCCC. And she talks about digitalization, AI, technology, super interesting, and how this actually can enable an energy transition. So let's watch.
Arianna, what would you say is how can digitalization and technology drive the green energy transition?
Yes, digitalization is enabler. It is an enabling tool. So the CTCN is working with the climate technologies to improve or to undertake the mitigations and adaptations, but that can be speed up, can be accelerated with the use of the digital technologies. For example, in the context of the energy system, the AI or other digitalizations tool can be used to map the distributions of electricity, or is actually can be used to accelerate and optimize is actually finding out where actually most of the electricity can be deployed, and so on and so forth.
Now to finish off with a bit of a fun question. This is the Capacity Building Hub, so I have to answer your question on capacity building. So if you had a capacity building superpower, which one would it be?
Oh, capacity building superpower. All right. You mean which capacity that I should build, or
Anything, any capacity that you should build, or any multiplier effect, capacity building power, anything.
you have me off guard on this one. But I think I will build the capacity of youth, because youth is really the future of our world, in a sense, right? And they're really, really receptive, and they're happy to learn a lot more beyond, of course, than the older generation like me. But more than that, they really is aware of what it's actually needed, and so I would actually focus on youth. I would focus on really building their entrepreneurship, because that's what youth is very strong at. They love risk. They're not afraid of doing anything new. They are very innovative, and it's the CTCN works a lot with youth under our climate youth innovation program, and we really always amazed of how much ideas and new ideas to help the world coming actually from youth. So I would invest a lot.
Welcome back to the third C.
Now the C, this is a big C word. We're gonna be looking at continuity, because naturally we want all these efforts to have a long-lasting and durable impact. So we had a chat with our dear friend Harsh on what the enablers are and what can make this continuity happen to essentially reach a net zero world. Let's take a listen.
Okay. Okay, so after a very, very interesting session, could you just tell us what would be an enabler that will help us reach a more resilient net zero world?
Thank you for the question and thank you for the opportunity. In order to reach a resilient net zero world, it's very important to understand that the word resilient is quite significant and it's gaining a significance every year. We have probably seen a very steady drumbeat of extreme weather events in many different parts of the world, whether it is droughts or floods or heat waves, wildfires, and the human cost, the livelihood cost, the financial cost has been accumulating to hundreds of billions of dollars. So there has to be, first of all, proper acknowledgement that resilience has to go hand in hand with mitigation, which is why the plans that we make for mitigation for 2-3 decades timeline, they should be integrated with adaptation and resilience strategies. So it's very important from also the perspective that the people who bear most of the cost of disasters, extreme weather events, they don't have the mechanisms to adapt. And unless and until we place resilience at the center of climate response, we are not going to be able to help them as best as possible. That's one. Secondly, it follows the financing requirements, of course. The United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP, released its adaptation report earlier this year that showed the huge gap in what is needed for financing, specifically in developing countries, and what we have right now. And that gap will increase every year, also because the trajectory of extreme weather events is expected to increase. Thirdly, it is technological. There is an increasing pipeline of technologies that enable resilience, whether it is for housing construction and the roof that we use, whether it is for making the grids resilient, whether it is for resilient agriculture, crops that are resilient to droughts. The access to these technologies that is not equitable or not as widely available as one might want. So there are different barriers to that. So I think those would be the key enablers that I think would be very, very important.
That was really, really interesting. Now, our last C, and our favorite C, of course, is capacity. And we were able to talk to Emmanuel, a dear colleague of me in UNU-EHS, and he talks a lot about how capacity building can help us reach this energy transition. So let's go see you. Okay, Emmanuel. So can you tell us, what do we need to achieve a just energy transition?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. And that is a very important question. First of all, maybe it's important to start by saying that just energy transition means the company needs to transit to new forms of energy, to green energy, but also ensuring that it's inclusive. And it's also it's inclusive and equitable. And so there are many things that need to be done when you think about just transition. But one of the main capacity building. And capacity building can be broadly classified into three. It will be capacity building at the systematic level, whereby we ensure that they enable the environment that they implement whatever policy is. The second level is institutional, to ensure that the leadership expertise, the leadership forming mechanism is to ensure that capacity within institutions that could be sustained and maintained and transferred to the next generation. Last but not the least is at the individual level. Even though much has been done at the individual level, but every day new technologies are being developed, new skills are vital to accommodate all these new things. So there's also the need of upskilling and reskilling of individual capacity. So, roughly speaking, these two different levels of capacity building are very important when we talk about the just energy transition.
So we're back, and this is kind of a wrap for the Energy Day. But something that came out, it was this term of renewable infinity, because naturally renewables and clean energy is the future, and we want it to be the future for the rest of our time. And we want to live in a planet that connects and generates itself. So there's one final message we want to share is that one and the need for the capacities to make this happen, essentially.
Maybe that should be your capacity building superpower.
Well, I choose that as my superpower then.
Perfect. I think for me, we heard several good superpowers, but for me, I like the one where they said that I would like that at least one person could always learn something and teach something when I'm with them. Like, I think that power that everyone would have, like peer learning, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I agree. We need a world where we listen to one another more, where there's more empathy and that space for dialogue and connection, and that's a great superpower. Tell us yours in the comments.
Yeah, and well, thank you, besties, for being here, listening to us, and
see you on the next one. Bye, besties.
Bye, besties.